Assalamu alaikum, back to On the Run, and today On the Run sheds light on the honorable and important visit of the British parliamentary group, that private of Sudan and South Sudan, and there is a concept of common watch. Very pleased to have His Excellency David Drew, Member of Parliament of Stroud House of Commons, Westminster, Hayat Adam Abdul Rahim, the head of the European Branch Committee and the Foreign Relations and International Cooperation Committee in the Parliament. How are you?
Assalamu alaikum. Very
Assalamu
well, thank
alaikum.
you.
Assalamu alaikum.
I can say hello then.
Okay, hello then. Nice to have you in Sudan first.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
This is my fourth visit, so
Your fourth visit.
So I do think very highly of the Sudan.
Okay, and so you do like it.
Thank you.
Okay, welcome. I start by the aims of the visit. One of the major aims that the visit enable the delegation to check the situations in Sudan, especially in Darfur.
Yeah, what we've done is so far we have visited Darfur. We went to El Fasher, to the Abasu camp, which was very interesting. It's good to see that there's a level of stability and peace there. Sadly, there are other places in Darfur where that's not quite the case. But also we're coming to talk about the issues that really matter to Sudan, getting the sanctions completely removed. That's really important. The human rights issue is to the fore, and obviously religious freedom. So we're measuring how far Sudan has come in terms of the way in which the development is clearly dependent on those issues, and we will be reporting back. We're one of many all-party groups, but this is an important group. It's very well represented in the House of Parliament, and they will be very keen to know what progress has been made by the Sudanese government and how that will help get Sudan back into economic robustness.
Okay, that's cool. Hayat, I shift you to ask for the coordination itself for the visit from the Parliament side, and your preparation and your visit in Al Fasher in purpose of checking the situation over there, and at there you met the police and the defense of human. And I want you to tell me about the outcomes of the visit, please.
Well, hello viewers. I'm sorry first of all that I have some cold.
That's cool.
But anyway,
yeah.
It seemed like this. The Parliament was well prepared for this visit. As you say, that is very important visit for us as parliamentarians too. And especially that we want the other side, other people from the other parliamentarians or from the other side, that to come to know and to see for themselves what is going on in the country, and the sustainability which has been happening after we are storing the peace after these problems which has happened in Darfur, especially in some areas of Sudan. And the delegation, we went to Darfur too, especially to Al Fasher, and they visited, they was having a talk with the governor of Al Fasher, and then after that they have visited to Abshok camp, and they have been there with the IDPs. They met the IDPs and the native administration of the camp, and they had a talk direct between them and the IDPs and the administrative there. And also they have a tour inside the camp. They went around the camp and they saw for themselves how the people, they have been, of course, some people they have already have stable, they have some houses, they have some market there, and but most, as they talked themselves direct to the delegation, that some of them they already returned back about 20-something thousand people. They went back to their villages and they've been stable there. And some other people who are remaining here, as the government also talked that they can, for them there's no problem. If they want to integrate in the communities, there's no problem that they can be there. If they want to go back to their village, still there's no problem. And as you know, that also they said the people from the Abshok camps that they've been having this year nice autumn, and the rainy season is very good. They have already sown their crops, and some of them back in the village too, and some of them around El Fasher suburbs there. For me, I think as I accompanied them and I went with them also after that to the UNIMED, as you know that the UNIMED are supposed to be going out of Sudan very soon,
yes.
withdrawal from Sudan. So that I think the teams that were worried about that if the UNIMED, they will go out from the Sudan and maybe the people, they will be the conflict again or would be a problem. But like this, the people, they assured them that there is no a problem this one. But and also the UNIMED themselves, they said that now in around Darfur, only in this area of Jabal Mara, there are some problems, but otherwise around everything is okay. We met with the police also from the UNIMED, and also they assured that they are working well coordination with the Sudan police and with the people of Sudan. Also the military high commissioner said the same, exactly the same thing. Also there is a raised by question by the Mr. David Drew to the, I like that question, and also I like the answer from the general of the commissioner of the military, that that now you don't, do you feel that the reduction of your people, I mean like this is a problem now? He said no, of course with the stability and the people now, the war is finished and everything is okay, that is just a normal thing, I think, for this one.
So the visit highlights on more confirmation of implementation of peace in the area and settlement of the people of that area of Darfur.
Definitely.
Okay? Yes. I need to have the comment of His Excellency Mr. David about, you know, are you seeing that UNIMED fulfill its job?
What we felt very strongly was that UNIMED brought peace to those parts where they are still operating. I mean, the key question now is, how do we see the drawdown of UNIMED troops and UNIMED police and obviously the officials? There is a very strong opinion, which we would share, that it's no good leaving the development until after UNIMED had lost its impetus in terms of all the military power that it currently possesses on the ground. The development process of Darfur needs to start now, and it needs to be well funded, and clearly that's a message that's come from across the political domain, but also it needs to be very heavily targeted on those who want to return, can return, but they will need help to return, and they will need help in their villages, and we will have to sort out the land issue, which clearly comes up as one of the most difficult aspects of this. But also those who wish to stay, because some will want to settle in a more urban centre around El Fasher and around Niala and indeed around El Janina. They will need help, they will need work, they will need to make sure the schools and the health facilities stay in situ. So there's quite a complicated series of issues. We now talk about benchmarks. Those benchmarks must be clearly laid out. They must be clear to the governments of Sudan, but also UNIMED cannot just pull up and disappear. It has to do the development alongside its removal from the different parts of Darfur.
That's cool. My question is an important point of fund and support. I can consider this like a call to the international community and the regional organizations and the international one, and especially the UN, to come and support the development projects in the area.
Well, that's crucial, and that's the message we will be taking back.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's very difficult to put a figure on this, but again, it's important that we don't underspend. It would be a tragedy if after all this money has been spent, $1 billion plus, in trying to bring peace to the area, that is all thrown away because we haven't invested in what comes after. The legacy is so important. So my message to the international community, and certainly to the UK Parliament and the UK government, is don't think that because UNIMED are disappearing, that's the end of the story. What we must have is the expenditure now going into the development, and there's so many ways in which you could see that really making a difference on the ground.
Okay, so this is lead to a crucial point, that the projects that are funded by Britain and were executed by UNIMED now are fulfilled, and Britain has the tendency to give more support for more development projects in the area.
Yes, and we saw that in terms of some of the projects that we weren't able to visit in person, but we met the people who came to us. They are very clear that the conflict resolution needs to move on now into investment in proper supplies of water, to the health and the education, and also jobs. Jobs are going to be crucial. Now, you know, we can't provide those jobs by just spending money, but what we can do is by investing in the road structure, by making sure that the telecommunications works, and by particularly making sure that there is governance, good governance. That is going to determine whether Darfur is able to come through the crisis and really settle down as a part of Sudan that really pushes Sudan forward, and it's an investment opportunity.
Yes. Okay, that's fine. I shift to you, Hayat. You know, yes. Okay, we apologize for your cough, but you know, the program of the delegation and that you accompany the delegation, I want you to report, okay, what are the important, you know, impressions of the delegations about Sudan in terms of the way of there is many chances for investment in the tourism area. There is some progress even in Darfur implementation of peace as a parliamentary member. You.
Well, I think till now they never show me anything different than that one, that they were happy with me, isn't it? That's true. Okay. And they were very happy with the visit. I think for them, I think it's a good experience that they came for themselves to see how is Sudan. Okay. They met with a lot. They met with the ministers. They met with the investment, also the department deputy minister for the investment. Of course, they raised this one themselves that they want to meet with the minister of the investment. Of course, now the minister of investment, that one is not there anymore. But they met with the deputy minister, and they discussed also around that one about whether that. Also, the ministry, they asked whether that the UK can come and invest in Sudan. That's a good opportunity now in Sudan that they can invest. I think what it is the issues are more important, which is they raise also themselves that the lifting of the sanction from Sudan, the effect of that one, which I think that also themselves they saw that there is no any effect of that lifting of the sanction, because it's still now that it's not giving us the chance that Sudan, if remaining with in the list of the terrorism, there's no use of that lift of the sanction, because we cannot get any benefit from the international funds or like organizations. So that what I'm taking also this opportunity to request my
yes, Mr. David.
Mr. David and his the honorable delegation, that they can take also this message with them to the UK government, that they can really, I know that also for them, not alone, also only them, and also the European Union and all and everybody, that we know that it's American is the one like this, but we have to be all together, that as they saw now for themselves, that the people really in the Darfur area, they need what you call stability, and that stability is coming when they have the develop for their basic needs in their areas. Of course, you cannot force also the people to go back to the village. Sometimes they got some people, they got children who's born in the camp and already have 14 years already old, and you tell let's go back home.
So
and
it is
then
which home for them?
Which home he can go? We'll ask also the mama or something that which home I can go. Okay. So if they want to remain and to integrate in the community, it's okay. But some people also they need to go back. So if it is possible that the human, I mean the international community, they can help to Sudan to develop these areas, and for these people they can go back to their village, I think.
Okay, as you mentioned, it's important point to come and check how the effect after lifting the sanctions, especially on economic area. And she mentioned that still, if we are under, the list of terrorism countries, still no fund enable to come to Sudan, and so no more hard currency for more development of the projects. My question is, Sudan is hosting a huge numbers of refugees and did his best towards these refugees, okay? Even these refugees maybe have some effect on the economic and the consumptions, okay, right, in the country. But Sudan did his best. these efforts should be recognized from the international community, you say, as it can help to lift Sudan from terrorism list. Yes?
No, I think that's very important. I mean, to me, the three issues are interrelated. I mean, firstly, the country needs to get rid of this, power that it's been under, which is the being labelled as a centre of terrorism, which clearly, to my opinion, is wrong. I think the UK would accept it's wrong, and I think the US is moving. It may not be moving quickly enough, but it is moving. I mean, the second issue is this one, which is intertwined with it, which is the human rights issue, which I've already touched on. Again, Sudan needs to make progress in that area, but again, with peace in Darfur and with the way in which that could be the demonstration to the wider community that Sudan has come through this dreadful period of history. But it is also linked to the migration issue. We've been to the Institute of Migration today to have a look at the way in which they're trying to deal with those migrants who may be just coming through Khartoum or Sudan in general. Yes. But the fact is they're here, and we have to again help the Khartoum process, which the British government and the other European governments have invested in, is a crucial part of the way in which we have to try and understand why people are migrating through Sudan into Libya and then sadly trying to get on boats and get to Europe. We have got to do what we can, and we will resettle people where appropriate, but that flow cannot continue in the way that it has done, because it denies Sudan the best people who need to be there to invest in the future, and of course all the other countries, Eritrea, Ethiopia, South Sudan, Central African Republic, they are losing their brightest and their best. That cannot continue. But the only way we can overcome that is by a process of development, and we have to be a partner to Sudan and those other countries to make sure that development happens sooner rather than later.
Okay. So also Sudan exerted a lot of efforts in combating illegal immigrations, especially to European countries. Yeah?
It has, and we saw that, and it's a process that we in the West, UK in particular, have invested quite heavily in. I mean, the fact is, it's still happening. We can't pretend it's not. What I would urge people to understand is they're not necessarily moving to a better life in the West. Some people, of course, we would welcome, because they are our doctors and our teachers and our lawyers and our builders and so on. But the fact is, not everyone can do those jobs, and it's not helpful for them if they come to the United Kingdom and they find that life is not good for them. We want to make sure that everybody's quality of life is improving, and the best way to do that is to invest heavily in the Sudan, and that's what we must do when the sanctions are gone and when we get a proper return on the way in which that investment is into infrastructure and the private sector and beyond.
Okay, and you see, the efforts of Sudan are considered and recommended by the international community, or you see that the Western media are denial to Sudan efforts?
I mean, the problem with the Western media is, like everything, it will highlight the images that people partly want to believe, but they are there. What we've got to do is give those images a much more contextual position so that people understand it's not like that all of the time over all of the country. Some difficulties, we have our difficulty in the United Kingdom, we can't pretend that. We've got Brexit, we've got a lot of issues with drugs, we've got a lot of issues with gang violence. We have to face up to that. So Sudan also has to face up to its difficulties in terms of how it moves forward from this recent legacy and sees development as a way of making every Sudanese citizen feel wanted, and the best way to feel wanted is get a job, get an education, and get a quality of life. Okay,
sounds good. So Sudan is combating terrorism and also shares efforts to combat terrorism in sister countries in the African arena, okay, in cooperation with the international community.
Yes. I mean, that's very clear, and we're meeting later on the EU, which is itself is obviously overseeing programs of development. I mean, again, all I would say is there needs to be greater coordination, greater coherence, and we must take that message back, and we've got to get the British media and the wider Western media to understand that there is progress being made, but that progress is being stalled by sanctions, and it is by some of the reputational damage that the country has suffered. We now need to go through and pass that to make sure that this country is given a real opportunity. To me, Sudan is one of the four giants of Africa, with Kenya, South Africa and Nigeria. If the four giants really begin to take their place, as they should do, in the world community, the rest of Africa will really follow very quickly.
Okay, on the top of all, the religious tolerance in Sudan prevails since centuries. And Sudan accused from some of countries, I can't tell all, that Sudan has no religious integration or religious tolerance.
Well, I don't think that's true. I mean, there are allegations about churches closing or being shut on Sundays. I mean, I'm a Christian and I go to church on a Sunday. I know that there is more tolerance than that. As was said to us, it's not necessarily true that on Friday in the United Kingdom Muslims have the freedom that they would want to go and pray. We have to be better. So all I would ever say is that religious tolerance has to be two-ended. It's no good just asking for more religious tolerance in the Sudan if England, the United Kingdom, doesn't actually provide that as well. But from the evidence I've seen, particularly the role that Sudan's now played in trying to bring peace in the south, that is to do with religion, and that is to do with the way in which we must be all tolerant of one another. Otherwise, the only alternative is conflict, and that has not really proved anything other than to be disastrous for all nations.
Okay, I can ask you an important thing, Hayat. What are left for the delegation to see and have and report? Okay.
Well, I think today we have been, since morning, we went to the IOM, the RC, and they went to this center, and they were made to have a good meeting also there. They saw some cases, and they listened to the doctors, and they saw for the people who are the illegal immigrants, I think they are coming, and how they are all the foreigners. Most of them, they are Ethiopian or Eritreans in the center. And they learn about a lot of things about that one. And we also been to the Human Rights Commission.
In human rights, I can excuse to stop for a while and be back.
All right, okay.
Welcome back, viewers and my guest. And then we continue with the Human Rights Commission.
Yeah, they also, this one also was very important for them, because they are also went to the Human Rights and Commission, and then they have asked all their questions, I think, been answered also. And they know a lot, learn a lot of course, maybe they are listening and hearing about the freedom, sometimes that the people are not getting their freedom in Sudan, and how is it. Anyway, they got that answers also with the assistant for the president. Also, they met him before. They met a lot of people. I mean, they collect a lot of information. Definitely, I think for them by now they have already got their conclusion. But I cannot tell, and I cannot say what they have in their mind. Of course, that will remain with them. But Mr. David can tell better, because
have some conclusion about this.
I mean. Yeah. It's wrong because I'm just one member of the delegation to draw conclusions.
Yes,
but
you have to sit together.
What I have learned is the issue of human rights is inseparable from those other issues already said. The sanctions and the way in which development really needs now to replace that vacuum left with the conflict situation. So the message I will be giving back to the parliamentary the support that we get in the all-party group will be that the country's moving forward, but it's being held back because of the economic difficulties, which are really caused by the sanctions, and we need to deal with that. And the best way to deal with that is to get negotiating, but more particularly then to put economic development right at the centre of all the Western donors do, all the different countries. And I think that this country will then really start to move forward very quickly.
Okay, and then I can conclude, you know, to declare a final message to the international community and the regional and international organizations, what to see about Sudan and what to say for them.
I mean, my view is that this is the fourth time I've been.
Yeah.
Sadly, every time I've been previously, there's been conflict either in Darfur or in the south. There's now a chance that that conflict is over. Yeah, there will be banditry, there will be odd instances where rebel groups will try to organise. But the message I got from one lady in the camp in Abu Souk was very telling. She said, we've had the conflict. We're just fed up with fighting. We need to move on. We need peace. Therefore, we can then move on in our lives and get the development we need, get the jobs, get the education, and really, as I've said before, get that quality of life which people deserve all over the world, and this country deserves more than any.
Okay, so it's like a message for more calling for peace and implementation in Darfur area. And, you know, we please, as a parliament, invite, you know, such a group to report and come and see and watch what the situations are in Sudan. I do thank you, Andran. Thank you, Mr. David Drew, Member of Parliament of Stroud House of Commons, Westminster, Hayat Adam Abdul Rahim Zahed of European Branch Committee in the Foreign Relations and International Cooperation Committee in the Parliament. You are more welcome here in the Shorouk channel and on the run. We're so pleased about you.
Thank you very much. Thank you
okay.
very much. You've been very good and very great.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
it was a nice.
You're more welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, man, my viewers, and follow me.